Uh-oh, what happened? The T4 is in pieces. Oh man, what happened? My new T4 is all scratched up. Alright, I guess you guys are gonna see what happened at some point. So I just crashed my wife's T4 the other day. I was ripping around on this thing seated and doing so good and for like 2 hours, and I was starting to learn pendulums, and I was riding backwards and doing all the crazy things. And then I told my wife to start recording, and the instant I told her to start recording, I almost hit my van, and I jumped off the unicycle, and the unicycle went running down the street. And it was going about 20 miles an hour, and I was running after it about 15 miles an hour, and it got wobbles, and it had its own wobble crash. So it obliterated itself, and it cracked the upper frame and all kinds of good stuff. So we have a new frame. We just bought it yesterday. It's on its way coming. We got to replace, and I think also this might be bent. I'm going to try and pull this out and straighten it. But once that is fixed and that is fixed, I think my wife's T4 will be back together. Man, I sure did a number on it too. Look at the screw on the battery box. Man, I dinged it up real good. That was a real good crash, and I didn't even get to crash it. It just got away from me. So we're gonna do a complete rebuild on my wife's T4. And then I've been delivering food like crazy lately. So last night I was coming home from delivering food. I had a fair night and I made some good money, and I was riding home seated. So that was a seated crash. Basically, I jumped off and the unicycle got away from me. So I need to start using leashes. I just learned I'm going to start using leashes now because that's ridiculous. My unicycle got away from me and crashed. And you can see Nimbus took a big hit on the head last night and on the tail. And it hit the tail fairing, and my kickstand is bent, and my lower battery covers are bent, and I think I moved my fork again, so I need to rip it apart and straighten it out. So Nimbus took a pretty good hit last night. That kind of sucked. I was seated riding home, and I'm like going through all these poles on the bike path, which why the hell is there a bunch of poles on the bike path? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, look at all these poles. I better make sure I go right through them. So I'm making sure I go right through them, right? I made sure I made through them all, but some fucking how I made my hand. I did not make sure that my hand didn't hit the pole. So my hand just nicked the pole and I went, plah! And so I started leaning and I went, woo, 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 trying to correct it, to straighten it out. And I had it for a second. And then for some reason I started leaning that way again. And I got scared and jumped off, and the unicycle went boom, boom, and flipped and rolled and tumbled. And yeah, you can see my body kit keeps me safe though. The only thing that happened was my, you know, the fork blade, it can rotate in the frame, and it makes the battery boxes be unparalleled with the wheel. So you can take it apart, take it all off, and straighten it all out and make the battery boxes parallel with the wheel again. And that's pretty much the only thing that happened. And the reason I know that, I can show you. See, it took a hit here, took a hit here. So my body kit is definitely solid. It took a big old hit on the taillight right here, and it held together no problem. So the reason I can tell you that my battery boxes have moved and I need to straighten the fork blade is that the gap here is greater than the gap here. And that's fixable. You pull your battery boxes off and you rotate the fork blade and you put the battery boxes back on, and then it'll be straight. And I got to pull my kickstand off and straighten that out, and I've done that several times already. I may just leave my kickstand off because on the EX30 it's kind of useless. Especially with my body kit, I can just set it on the front like that. So I don't really need my kickstand anymore, and that will help me do some stairs on my EX30 too. So, but the new tire's doing good. Yeah, you can kind of see some more of the damage. Like these aren't bent. They look bent, but they're not. It's just not parallel to the wheel. So I need to pull that off and rotate everything and straighten it all out. So I've been crashing a lot and ruining unicycles. I ruined my wife's unicycle. I gotta take take all these and hammer this back straight, and then I'll probably sand them down a little bit, make them look better since they're all scratched up. And the wheel still works, nothing wrong with it. I rode it around after it crashed, but man, that crash sucked. Ruined the frame, screwed up a bunch of the battery boxes are all tweaked and stuff now. Man, it sucks. That was such the nicest riding unicycle before it got away from me. I'll put the crash in this video. And anyway, I gotta rebuild all my unicycles today. Just one of those days, just a down day. Everything's all crashed and broken. I guess that's the adventures of learning to rip on these little self-balancing unicycles. I'm doing a bunch of tricks on this one. I crashed it, and delivering food, coming home from all tired, delivering food at midnight, and I crashed this one. So it looks like I chipped my battery cover. Look at that too. That's good. This is the polycarbonate one, and this is the Lexan one. So I'm going to replace this Lexan one with polycarbonate, and it won't chip anymore like this one here. So that's cool. No big deal. I think that was actually already cracked from last time too, so I just did it again. And look, you can see it protecting the battery. So my body kit has been crashed several times, and it definitely protects the unicycle. You can see it here. This acts as a big old cushion, and this took a hit, acts as a cushion. All this stuff acts as a real good cushion for these EX30s. So if any of you are interested in printing my body kit, man, that's definitely a lifesaver on the EX30. So I'll see you all later. There's my crash update for the week. I gotta rip everything apart and rebuild it all so that I can start doing more tricks, and my wife can keep learning, and I can keep delivering food. See y'all later. Peace.